my favorite song, man. I love this. It's so soothing, Jason. You do what you're doing. You're looking for photos for Throwback Thursday.
Something to give to you.
This is a Throwback Thursday you're putting up?
Yeah.
Makes me want to cry a little. Makes me happy and... Gee, I hope people can hear this on the other end. They're like, what is Gotti doing?
Singing to himself.
Hey, Will, tell me if you can hear the music in the background. Will Britton says, hey, dudes. It's really going to get interesting if Will's drinking. I'll crank it up for you, Will. Will wants me to crank it up. Oh, you can't hear it. How about now, Will? I might have to turn down my volume. Oh, God. Line up the whiskey for Will.
Is he drinking?
It's gonna start. That's how you gotta make it. You gotta drink whiskey to make it through this show. How about that, Will? There you go. So sad. Want to hear it again, Will? Will, one more time, right, buddy? We're still waiting for our guest, Seth VanDalen. I mean, Dalen. Hey, Will, football podcast coming up next with Spencer Rifkin.
Oh.
What was that? Gotti, you get your PS5 ordered or what? Yes, I did. Got one through Amazon. That's what I'm doing, Will. I'm flipping the tape over. So I got one through Amazon. I got the disc version. And today, I shared it with Jason today. I received an invitation from Sony to pre-order one directly from them for being such a loyal customer. So tomorrow, 10 Man, that's a good question. I gotta look at that now and see if it was 10 p.m. Pacific or... No, so it would be 1 Eastern Standard Time. I can log in with my special URL and pre-order a PS5, which I do need another one because I need 2 in the house. One for me, one for my daughter. Rick says, sweet, it only took me 4 hours to order my Xbox. Alright. It's not bad. So the story on that for me was I watched the press conference. I did a live stream actually of the press conference that Sony held. And, well, they call it the PS5 showcase. But anyway, they finally released pricing. So you got a $499 version, you have a $399 version, and they did not say anything about pre-orders, which, you know, Microsoft said September 22nd, pre-orders. So I was like, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see when they, you know, maybe they'll make an announcement later. Well, next thing you know, Target was the first one to say, hey, come on over here, pre-orders. You can pre-order over at Target right now, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I think it was. And then all hell broke loose because then every other retailer followed. And, they weren't prepared for the onslaught. The websites went down. I did get one on Best Buy, but I couldn't get to the pay it now. Every time I was like, buy now, it would just rotate. So it did that for about 2 hours. I kept hitting refresh. I went to Amazon because the rumor was at midnight they were going to release them. I went to Amazon around 10:30 and typed in PS5 and kept hitting refresh until 11:54 p.m. I was able to grab one. What do you think of that, Jason? Exciting.
Big commitment.
No, it was.
You know what the problem with that now is? Now you got to play it.
That's no problem with me. Will Britton says, I just got Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Pretty high quality. All right. Yeah, I heard that's really awesome there. But yeah, so PS5 on the way.
When is that supposed to be coming?
November 12th.
So it's still a little ways away.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. Amazon did send an email out, but I think it was just to cover their own butts. They said, hey, we got your order, but you might not get it at launch day, maybe like a few days after. But
You're like, so some kid is just going to walk into Best Buy and snap one up.
I was like, I got that email, the same email with the PS4, and I got it on time. So
They're just covering their butt.
Yeah. We only have 2 people watching this show anyway, and it's Will Britton and Rick. I ordered mine on Microsoft Employee Store. Wait, I ordered mine on a Microsoft Employee Store site 10 minutes before the orders opened up, and the site tanked. Just like they all did, dude. They all did. It's funny. Best Buy's crashed, Walmart's crashed, even Amazon's crashed right after. I mean, I was able to get mine in there, but they crashed eventually. They crashed for Microsoft for sure. I saw that because I was just messing around trying it, and they crashed. Yeah. Well, congrats. Hey, Rick, which one did you buy, the X or the S? Oh, look at this. We're going to Seth VanDalen's made it into the backstage. He's in the green room right now, calming the nerves.
Getting ready.
We got some cookies back there and some milk and stuff like that. Will Britton says, my wife bought a PS4 as a Christmas present. I'll see if she does the same thing for the PS5. She better. She's a good wife. She will. Rick says the X. Okay. I just like the specs better. Awesome. Let's add Seth here to the stream. What's up, Seth?
Nothing much. How are you guys?
Good, man. We're talking video games, actually, while we were waiting for you, because we got people in here talking about the new PS5 and the Xbox. Which system do you have? You have a Sony?
I have an Xbox.
Xbox, all right. So are you getting the new X? Or the
probably. We'll see how the RC slows down. Might have some money to go do that. But
all right. So you didn't
wait all the races, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you didn't pre-order then? That's what we were talking about. The pre-order's not live.
I haven't pre-ordered.
Will Britton says hi. Fan of the show. Hey, Seth. What's up?
Oh, Will Britton.
There's Jason Ruona over there.
Seth, are we gonna see you think at the carpet race in Minnesota?
Oh yeah, I'll be there. But it's 15 minutes from my house. I'll be there.
15 minutes.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Nice.
It's definitely not 15 minutes for me, so that's good.
No. Are you flying or driving to there?
No, flying.
Flying? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a trip and a half going there.
Oh yeah. It's almost 24 hours.
What was the long one you made? Was that to P&B, I think?
P&B and Mugen are about the same length, but P&B took longer because we hauled my dad's trailer down there.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some issues going through the mountains. Truck overheated once, and then I think the transmission went into limp mode at one point. But that's what you get when you're hauling too big of a camper with the truck that we have.
Yeah, and you still made it there on time, and that was the event you did so well at. Yeah,
we left plenty early. I think we left Wednesday night. Yeah, Wednesday night, and then we got there Thursday. We were supposed to get there like midday Thursday, but I think we got there like 6. We were supposed to get there like 2.
Okay.
So took a little bit longer.
So Rick says he's going. I'll be there. Only 3 hours from the house.
Oh yeah, I think he's up in North Dakota. I think. He's in one of the Dakotas. He's in North Dakota.
Which Dakota, Rick?
It's either north, south.
He's like Dakota, the good one.
Bend, one of them.
Yeah.
One of the Dakotas.
West Dakota.
So, so we just got back after a race. What was, and I don't know if you mentioned it, but did you drive or did you fly to Southern Nats?
Southern Nats? I flew to Southern Nats. We, Maddie and I as a team kind of got tired of driving everywhere because we drove to Mugen, and that was 16 and a half, but we didn't tow a trailer, so it was quicker than if we would have towed a trailer.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
So, normally what we do, I know you've done a couple podcasts before. Sometimes we just like to check in with people. Sometimes we'll start from the beginning, but, I think it would be nice kind of to start off a little bit, just kind of get a little bit of background here on, kind of why you got, how you got started in RC, when you got started, and, give us a little rundown there. And maybe talk about how your parents or your dad was an influence and getting you going.
How I got started in RC, my dad started racing when he was like 14 or 15. Just he saved up enough money to buy I don't know what car he bought. I think it was a Kyosho at the time that he bought.
Okay.
But he bought a Kyosho car and he raced, and he had to bike to and from the track because he wasn't old enough to drive, obviously. And then he had, I think, 1 or 2 batteries, go run a couple packs, and then bike home. So there was a local track that he was close to, and so he did, or maybe his sister drove him to a track or something. But he got me into race or like driving cars when I was like 4 or 5. I was driving a gas T-Max around the yard, trying to hit like a stalker ball in the snow.
Yeah.
So that gave me pretty decent depth perception, trying to hit it without like piping. That's a big thing. If you run on a track without piping, it's hard to hit your lines. So that gave me really good depth perceptions. Like bigger racetracks, I don't really struggle. And then after that, I think I started racing when I was 6 or 7. And I think I first started racing. We had a roller rink that was like 20, 25 miles from our house. Actually, like 15. It's probably like 5 minutes from Thunder Road is where Thunder Road's at. And we would we'd roll out carpet and then put down wood jumps and like wood pipe or like wood barriers. And we were racing there on Sunday nights. We'd shut the roller rink down and race. So I started racing carpet there. I was running I think a stadium truck and a stock buggy. And stock at the time was 27 turn or whatever. So, and that got me into it. And then I think we switched to nitro when I was like 8 or 9. And by the age of 12, I started being in the same main as my dad. I wasn't beating him. At like age 10 I was. And then I think around 11 and 12, he put his gear down and started focusing more on me because he saw the amount of talent that I had and could push me farther if he worked on my stuff more.
So at that point, which vehicles and everything were you running at that time?
When he started working on my gear, I think we were running the Jammin' truggies and buggies. Mm-hmm. And then we ran OFNA, and then like 2011, maybe going into 2012, we started running Kyosho. I won a 777 and MP 777 World's Edition. I think it was a World's Edition out of a raffle. I had like $5 from whatever, like an allowance basically, and I bought raffle tickets and I won it. And then that kind of sparked the switch to Kyosho. So I had that car up all the way up until the TKI 3. We just kept converting it like buying parts for it to just keep converting it. I think I ended up getting a new TKI3. There's some stuff you couldn't convert. And so from there, we stuck with Kyosho till 2013, and then we went hot bodies. And we talked to Joe Pillars was the team manager at the time for Kyosho, and we got into like the Testman clinic, the 110% clinic, the first one they did down in California at the Proline test track in Banning. And we were running J Concepts at the time and Kyosho cars. Well, we ended up buying a hot bodies car going to that race because it was like November, or going to that like event. We bought a hot bodies car because it was kind of like contract years up. We talked to Joe Pillars, said there was really no more room for us to grow because on Kyosho at the time it was only 65 and then you were 100%. So we joined hot bodies, and I ran hot bodies 2013 and 2014, and then the switch to techno was 2015, and haven't looked back since. So
when were the years when you were running we had our 8-scale race in Omaha. I think you ran that a couple years. I think you were pretty young then, but do you remember what years that was?
The years that I ran that race, I think the first year I ran it was 2012 when I was on Kyosho. I ran the sportsman class, and there was a big I guess argument from the guys that were running sportsman. That was my first big out of town race ever. Like first time I traveled out of state to race, and I TQ'd the pro truck class from the sportsman class. So like the sportsman guys were like, he can't be running this, he needs to get out. And the track I guess organizer, which is still Alex Sturgeon, him at the time, he looked at it, he said, yeah, you're going fast in truck, like you had a good run, you've got like a top 10, and then you TQ'd. Everyone had a bad run that time. I think like Tanner Denny was there and he broke out, Tyler Jones was there and he broke out. And so he's like, yeah, you TQ'd. A couple guys had a mishap, so it wouldn't have been so bad. He's like, but Nitro Buggy, like, you're mid-pack. And there was like 40 buggies there. So I was like 20th. I was bottom of the B main. So he's like, I'm not going to do anything about it. And so I just ran sports from the rest of the weekend. Ended up winning both classes. So, but I think, didn't you guys sponsor that race all the way up until, I think, 2016, I think you did. And then it kind of went away into an oval race.
Yeah, it might have even been a little later than that.
Probably 17. Because I was old enough to drive. I was old enough to drive at the time.
Yeah, we had that race for quite a while, but given the time of the year and some stuff we wanted to try, we're going to try it as an oval race kind of going forward. But yeah, that's cool. I knew you had ran that race, and you're always pretty successful there.
Yeah, I think the year after I ran sportsman, I ran pro, obviously, and Tyler was there. Was Tyler there? I think I won truck, but then someone else won Nitro Buggy in the pro class. But then Tyler was there the year after, and we split the wins. He won buggy, I won truck, and that happened the next 2 years. And then Mason Fuller showed up and kicked my butt in Nitro Buggy, put me like 2 laps down in his first ever Nitro race.
It's like, how does that work, right?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, this will be my first like 30-minute race ever. He hadn't practiced for that long ever. He just was running 10 scale at the time. And then his dad and like their group of friends got A scale cars for him, and he did really well. So kind of got my butt handed to me, but it's okay.
So at this point, how old are you right now?
I'm 20 years old.
Okay. Yeah, so back 2010, you were 10 years old.
Yep.
Good math, Jason.
Man.
Quick on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's some nice numbers there to work with. So, making the switch to techno, you obviously saw something there. They saw something in you. We started seeing you more at the Roar Nationals, those type of events, and obviously, I mean, I remember when you're running all these races, but I think the thing that stands out is when you ran, you're running the regular truck body on your truggy, and I'm sure a lot of people know you from that, but that was kind of cool because you were running really fast at a lot of these nationals. Racer math. So yeah, you're running fast at a lot of these nationals, and you got this flatbed standard truck body. I think it was a 70 or a 72 Chevy that you had on there.
Yep.
So what were those years? And that was that the beginning of techno then?
I think the beginning of that truck body was 2017. The years of techno, I started in 2015. I signed my contract in 2014, like end of 2014, because that was my last year on hot bodies. The thing that sparked that switch was, it's kind of bad. I don't know if I should really share it, but don't really like the people that were running the team at the time. Is what I'm going to say. Just keep no names in it. They're on X-ray now. If no one knows that, it's his dad. He's a professional racer. But anyway, I switched because we didn't get along with the team manager at the time. There was we ran the Omaha Winter Series, the December round, and he got mad about like the parts were out of stock. So I was running like Kyosho spur gear, and I didn't have their apparel on because it was like -4 out. But so that kind of sparked that switch, and then there was more room to grow going into techno. So they had a higher sponsorship level. I think the highest you could go was 65 on HB at the time, and then we were able to grow all the way to 75, and now 100% on techno. So that really fueled the switch, and then the truck body started in 2017, and I think I ran it a couple races. I think it was, there was a race in May that I ran it at. It was the first ever race I ran it at. I painted the body because my dad refused to paint it. I painted it like it was a two-tone body. It was like a standard Chevy paint job. It was orange on the bottom, and then the cab, like the top of the cab, was white. And then I just was screwing around with paint, so I threw like a couple ghost flames in there, I guess. I was able to draw it up smooth enough, and I threw like blue flames on top of it. So that was my first time ever running that truck body. And then I think Nats is in June. That was the first big event that I ran it at, which was at State Line. And it turned some heads and made some people mad.
Oh.
There was a confrontation with one of the pro drivers. I can't remember. I think he was on hot bodies at the time. He was one of their top guys. And he made a mistake going through like the whoop section that was on the left side. And I got underneath him. I was in like the B heat. I was in the B resort. And there was that step up to the stairs down. And then it was a left-hander and another left-hander up over roller. Well, that left-hander to the roller, he squared up coming down the stairs, full lit, cleaned me out, like threw me over the pipe onto the straightaway. And I think I said to him after the race, I was like, nice pass. And he like turned around and he was like, what did you just say to me? And I was like, nice pass.
Right.
And he's like, unless you change your body, there's no reason to talk to me. And I was 15 or 16 at the time. So my dad turns around and it's like, you sound like a high school bully. Unless you change something, then there's no reason to talk to me. And like his face turned bright red. I remember, I think Jared Tebow, because we were friends with Jared at the time, he like grabbed my dad by the shoulder and walked him out of pit lane. So there's no more confrontation. And then that ended that. That weekend I was in the B main and I blew a servo out like 2 corners in or something, or like a lap in. So, but then we missed 2018 Nationals. Something came up right before the race. I was signed up to go, paid, and we were going to leave that Sunday. And we were supposed to leave that Sunday. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh.
We were supposed to leave that Sunday. Something came up, so we didn't leave. So we missed 2018 Nats, and I was going to run the truck body there. So then we went to 2019 Nats in Texas at Thornhill. I ran it there, and then I made the main somehow. I was 13th. I was on the bubble looking in, and the last qualifier, I think, can't remember what happened. I think Mayfield went out under on fuel. He TQ'd that round, I think. He went under on fuel. I think I was 10th. And then Ogden didn't marshal the first round of truck. So he got docked a lap off of his best run, which was his last run. And he was 9th, or he was like, I think he ended up like 4th in that round. So I moved from 10th to 8th. I bumped Ogden out of the main by 1 spot. So I was like, went direct into the main. And it was cool, but I knew after, like, my goal with that truck body was, it was cool. Like, it turned heads. It helped me like further getting sponsors, because it's like they know my name because by the truck body. But as soon as I made the main, like going into the next year, and then the switch to J Concepts, I'm like, it's over. The truck's retired. I'm like, we got to go. I made the main. I have the speed to go close to these guys' pace. I got to earn their respect, and the truck body just wasn't doing that.
Mm-hmm.
They ran me clean to a point, but they didn't run me like they run other people. So, and I understood it, because the truck body was just like, it was kind of a slap in the face if you got passed by it, I guess. So we switched away from that with the switch to J Concepts. And that was like, that truck body was fast on high bite tracks. So like Omaha, it was really fast because it turned really hard. It eliminated a little bit of rear traction. And then Omaha is so small, you didn't need the top end speed, even though it really didn't affect it all that much. And it helped in the air. It got you back to the ground quicker. So now just running the JC body, and that seems to do the same thing. We tested it before DNC. We tested I think, what is it? The Punisher? Is that the truck body?
Finisher.
Oh, Finisher. The Finisher, we tested the Finisher body and the stock Techno body. The stock Techno body flew like an extra 2 or 3 feet, but didn't corner as well. The Finisher didn't fly as far because it had more downforce, but it cornered way better. The truck was way more stable, way quicker in and out of the corner. So we made up more time in the corners than over the jumps, obviously. Like most people say, corners for dough, jumps for show kind of thing. So
okay,
we did that. So
I never actually heard that, but I agree. So yeah, since you brought up Nitro Challenge, you're in the B qualifier of 8 skill buggy, and the way that race works, you pretty much stayed there the entire time in that qualifier, I believe, and you TQ'd. Probably, other than the Worlds, could be the biggest race in the world. Talk to us about getting the TQ there.
The TQ at DNC, coming into that race, we flew out there for like 12 days, and we tested at Thunder Alley and then Palm Desert. So my cars were comfortable, like in the dirt that California has. So it's pretty similar track to track, but Palm Desert to Thunder Alley was pretty different. But the setups were close to the same. So DNC, my car was good at this, like good in practice, didn't have all that great of speed and seating. So I seated into the second qual. I don't think there was restarts after that. I was in the B qual. My first qualifier, I finished 8th. I had one crash and ended up 8th. I would have ended up like 5th. So that was like an eye opener to me. I was like, okay, I have the pace on this. Like the track fits my driving style and it's kind of blown out, which I'm decently good at from being at home. We run on black dirt, so it blows out. So going into second qual, I changed tires. I was running a Cosmos, which was a little bit slower but easier through the bumps. I just wanted a good first round so then it took weight off of me for going into the second and third round. Switched to a blocker, which no one was running. No one was running either tire. They were running stockers. So I was being weird, but that's what I ran at the practice. So that's what I was comfortable with. And I hadn't had all that much time on JC again yet. So I ended up getting a second overall. I think I went really fast in the B heat. The A heat, a couple guys, like 3 or 4 guys were going faster, and they made small mistakes on the extremely rough track, which is pretty easy to do. But Barufalo was like 20 seconds out in front of me during that qual, and he made like 2 mistakes at the end and ended up 12 seconds in front of me still. So there was no shot I could have TQ'd that round, I guess. But going into the main, or not the main, going into the third qual, Going into the third qual, I'm extremely good under the lights because at home we have 2 driver stand lights, or we have 2 lights on our driver stand, and then we have 3 in the back. So it's not super well lit, but it's pretty well lit up. So I'm really good in the dark, like driving wise. Just I can go off muscle memory pretty well, which there's a funny story to that. I'll tell in a little bit after this. So like knowing where all the bumps were definitely helped from e-buggy. We did really well in the second qual, went slower. I think like we were doing like 9 laps. I only went 8, but that's how bumpy the track was. And the A heat came up, and we knew there was going to be rain Friday night. And the A heat got water. The B heat was dry. The A heat got water. And so it was already wet. They were already going slower than the B heat was. They started picking up speed like middle of the run, and like 5 or 6 guys were going faster than my TQ at the time. And then the rain hit with like a minute and a half, 2 minutes to go. And it started getting slicker. Everyone started slowing down. We were watching the times, and the only one left in front of me with like 2 laps to go was Mayfield, and he wasn't that far in front of me. And I was like, there's a lot of chances on this track to make a mistake in 2 laps. And with the rain, it's going to keep slowing down. So he ended up slowing down and finished like probably like a second off my pace. And as soon as we got that TQ in that round, I was like, it's over. I was like, we TQ'd. We were talking about tires with Thomas, and we sat down, and Thomas is like, you have the best shot technically at TQing, because I think for JC at least, because I think Tessman and I think Tebow took the 2 other seconds, or maybe it was Barufalo. So the next closest person I think was Mayfield, and he had a 3 or a 4. So he's like, if you can get a 2, you start second, because Barufalo has a 0 and a 4, I think. And then if you TQ, you have a 0 and a 2, and you have the best points. So we ended up with that TQ. We set on the pole. That was like, I had TQ'd SIC, but that was like my first ever big race. That was my first time being at that big of an event other than Worlds. And it's in my backpack. My phone's at 15%. Should have checked it before.
Oh.
But
Hey, I've done that. I've done it too.
So everyone, a lot of people said it was a fluke, which, I mean, you could say it was. It was the cards fell in my favor. You could say it's a fluke, or you could say that I just had a better day than everyone else. If you take it away from me, I don't care. It's a feather in my hat that I have now. So, it was a great night. The emotions were high at the end. My dad was actually flying out to that race to pit for me in the main, and he was in the air at the time. And going into the last round, he had just gotten in the air. So he was like, he bought the Wi-Fi and was trying to like watch the racing, but the Wi-Fi wouldn't load because I think there was a storm that he was going through. So
I've been there.
They must have like went low, or it was when they were going over the mountains. He was low enough to a cell tower that he tried to turn his phone off airplane mode for some reason. It's kind of dumb. But his phone picked up the cell tower signal and his phone blew up. There was like 15 text messages that all came through at once. And he saw like all of his buddies. He's like, boom, TQ and all this stuff. And he's like, what? He's like, what happened? And his phone just shut off again.
Oh.
So when he landed, he was like in a full panic, trying to get hooked up to Wi-Fi again. And then he finally saw that that I TQ'd overall. So he didn't get to the track. He showed up to the hotel and I was sleeping and he came in, or actually I was awake because I knew when he was coming. And sorry, I'm trying to.
Yeah, that's all right.
Hope that works. So he was pretty pumped when he came in the hotel. He was super loud, which was annoying because we were trying to sleep. But so that race was good. The muscle memory story was years ago.
So
years ago.
One thing I thought was kind of funny is Maddie's there too.
Yeah, she's sitting next to me. She's been bothering me. So I have my Bose earbuds in, and when I'm in calls or even like video chat, only my right one works. It's set up that way so I can. Yeah. It's just so I have one earbuds for like driving. So she's been trying to listen, but she can't.
Oh.
So I was gonna switch to her AirPods, but it's fine.
So one thing I remember that was kind of funny is, for those that don't know Maddie, right? She's not afraid to talk a little trash. And
No.
I remember when you TQ'd at Nitro Challenge, and I remember when she was even in the Techno pits, and she's like, "That's right, he kicked all y'all asses."
Yeah, there was a lot of trash talk going on after that. Joe and Tebow. Tebow had a bad run, so he wasn't as pumped. He was more frustrated with his bad run, but he was pretty pumped for me. But Joe was like, we went to Joe's hotel room after that night, and he's like, he was talking with us. He's like, do you like understand what you just did? And I'm like, I probably won't understand what I just did at this race until like 2 races later. So it was like P&B, and I was like, okay, I did that. He's like, because there's a very limited number of people that have done that before.
Yeah,
are you guys live streaming on RP podcast, right?
Yeah. She can go to the page there and watch it.
She's bothering me, so I got her to go away.
Go in the next room and watch it.
Give her a job. Tell her. I heard she rebuilds shocks, she rebuilds diffs, and mounts tires. That's what she was telling us.
Oh yeah, at DNC, I was signed with PT Oils at the time, and we had tested during like the DNC the practice that we flew out for earlier. we ran like a half hour, and I don't know if I got bad oil or something, but like my oil in my truck and my nitro buggy was like black after like 45 minutes. So I don't know if I was too light or if I got bad oil and it was just the silicone was breaking down. But a lot of the guys didn't have that issue before. They just switched because Jared was helping them more. So I had that issue and was like, let me try the JTP stuff while we're testing. And I ran like an hour and a half after that on my nitro buggy at Palm Desert and pulled it out, and it was like a golden brown like it should have been. So I was like, okay, well, I obviously can't use the stuff that I have here. So the reason she was building my diffs was we were using the JTP oil, and she would go over to Joe Bornhorst's pit and sit on the end of his table where he had cleared off. And she built all three of my diffs in my nitro buggy. Oh, basically all three of my cars. My e-buggy, we were just doing the center diff because it's e-buggy, screw it. So so she was going and doing that. And then shocks, she would fill them because I was like cleaning and prepping, or what was I doing? I was getting the rest of the car ready. So she would like fill them. I'd bleed them and everything because I just didn't want to didn't have time to really explain it, because the way I bleed them is a little bit different than I use a caliper for the rebound on bladder shocks. Just then I know they're consistent every time.
Yep.
So I didn't really want to explain it at the time. So yeah, she built my shocks, diffs, punched tires. I cleaned and glued them, but she like stuffed them on the wheel and everything. So yeah, she was a huge help at DNC. And all the races.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So, moving in a little bit, we'll just kind of skip right to, PMB, which was a good race for you. You ended up finishing second there. Got the move to stick on Mayfield on the last lap, I think, or the next to last lap. Definitely the most excited I've ever seen you at a race. Talk to us about being in that PMB event in the main there. I mean, a big track, a lot of stuff going on. It gets bumpy. You got the whoop section. You got the Joker line. There's tons of gimmicks, and then just having a great main.
PNB. Oof, that race. I didn't do so well in qualifying. I struggled. I was trying to push too hard to like get good runs in. And the cars were good. I was just driving over my head, which happens quite a bit. I get overconfident when my cars are good. So was driving over my head, and I think I started 10th in the main. And when the main started, it was my teammate Joe Bornhorst started 9th. So we were 9th and 10th. And I think this happened in truck too, and even e-buggy. When the main started, my phone fell. When it started, in all three classes, me and him drove to the front. Like, I followed him. We picked off cars one by one. And I think truck, we went from like 6th and 7th to 2nd and 3rd. And then buggy, we went from 9 and 10 all the way to 1 and 2. Like, we were leading at the first pit. Like, me and him were leading at the first pit, I think all the way to second pits. And then I think Tebow had a bad start and used all three of his Joker lanes at the start. And he got out in front of me, but was right behind Joe. And Joe and I had only used one at like the 20-minute mark. And I think there was a couple laps where, I don't know if I lost focus or something got weird, but I made a couple mistakes and fell back to 3rd or 4th behind, I think, Cav and Mayfield or Rivkin. And I used my last two Joker lanes, like within 3 laps of each other, just to get back out in front of them. Because I think I was behind Cav and I was having problems getting around him. I couldn't find a spot to get around him. Or maybe it was a lap car. And Cav didn't know my body all that well, so he just didn't think of anything of it. And the announcing the leaders wasn't all that great. But So I used my joker lane to get around him. And then I think he used it right after. So then I was like, okay, then I'll use my last one to get back around him. So used the rest of my joker lanes with like 10 minutes to go. And I think so Joe flamed out with 7.5, like 8 minutes left to go. I think he hit his 7.5 minutes. He came across at like 7:15 and he said one more lap. There were like 35-second laps. So he went one more lap and he ended up running out with like 15 to 20 seconds to the pit lane.
Yeah.
So he it was like 7:45 laps. So he would have been long for the last pit, but he could have done a splash and go if he needed to, if he was comfortable with the lead that he had. But stretched at 1, ran out of fuel. I inherited second. Mayfield was in third, hauling the mail, chasing me and Tebow down. And he caught me with like 2 minutes to go. I think we traded places a couple times. And the last lap, 2 laps to go, he got around me.
Was this the one on the straightaway where he drove down the inside of the straightaway in the front?
Yeah. He got a better drive out of the bumps, and I basically had to fold over. He drove around the outside of me. My motor was rich in that run. He drove around the outside of me, and I was like, okay, that was a slap in the face, but I'll back off and take it. And so with like a lap to go, I got a good run coming out of the bumps. I hung with him down the straightaway. We stayed together. I think I passed him going into the rough section, like that part where they didn't pack it. It was all tilled up and stuff. I passed him there, and a couple of corners later, he passed me again. And I was like, well, that sucks. I'm like, we got 4 or 5 corners to go, and I got to do this again. Went over the double, triple, and we were both going for it that last lap. And he jumped like 2 feet too far onto that off camber that we were jumping. That was supposed to be a roller off camber when we were doubling it. And he slid to the outside pipe, and I greased it. I landed right on top, down around the pipe, and was able to get in front of him. And went up over the step up and like down into the rhythm. And my plan, if I wouldn't have passed him there, my plan was send it through the whoops and hope for the best. That was his plan too, because I slowed down and went double all the way through it. Was just like, I'm just going to do consistent. If he passes me, he passes me. I still got a third. It's my best finish this year. So I was like, we're just going to slow down and do my best. And he got around me like the last with like 4 whoops to go. And I think on the second to last whoop, his car bucked and he ended up flipping off. And I just went consistent through it, crossed the line by myself. And I think Tebow ended up making like a mistake or two every lap for like the last 3 laps. We were 20 seconds behind him, and I finished 1.8 seconds behind him on the last lap. So I think he got nervous because of how fast Mayfield was going. And like, if he did make mistakes, Mayfield was there. And then I picked up the pace at the end because I was having a battle. So
it was an impressive race by you guys. And there were some good passes. I didn't really think nothing was really, nasty or rough. It worked out where you guys had a kind of a nice little battle there. And you were really excited, and it was well deserved for sure. And it was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a really good battle. Probably the cleanest one I've had so far this year. Like, we didn't touch at all, I don't think. The battles at Southern Nats were like, the track was so one line that if someone got a foot off the pipe where you could stick it in, you had to push them out of the way to get around them. And I did that to Brandon Rose a couple times in truck. I had to move him because the kid's so good, like entering a corner. His entrance speed isn't very high, but he's on the pipe and immediately on the gas coming out. So it was extremely hard to like get around him. So
Yeah, I mean, just some great events. Obviously, you went through. Um, Another thing I'll bring up about Maddie was when she was pitting your truggy at PMB and she fell on the pit lane. Um, I mean, she ran across the track to get your truck, and I mean, through the triples, through the doubles, trucks are jumping over her, and she's like, just right to your truck, comes straight back, jumps on the pit lane, falls over, hardly even like no hesitation, just throws your truck back on the starter box and just starts it up, and you're right back out. And I'm like, what in the world just happened? Like that was so fast. And
Dang.
there's no hesitation.
No, she's committed as soon as it flamed out, she was, because same thing happened to me that happened to Joe in the Nitro Buggy Main. I came across the line, was 20 seconds from my window, or like 10, 15 seconds from my window. I said, one more lap. I got the fuel. Made it like I think I made it to just after the roll, like the rough section, and the truck leaned out. And I was like, uh-oh. I was like, this isn't good. This is an empty tank. We made it the double triple, and it flamed out. And yeah, she ran out there, ran back, jumped the pit lane.
Wow.
And she ended up, her right knees had 3 ACL surgeries from playing hockey. She ended up tearing her ACL jumping the pit lane wall. Jumping the pit lane. So this is her 4th tear. She's walking on a torn ACL. She said her kneecap was like towards the right side of her knee. And she ended up, she took her headset off of her head because she was crying because it hurt so bad. And I had a wheel fall off. And I think I've kind of diagnosed it. I run a crap ton of front brake, and the constant braking that was on that like high speed to braking on that track just worked it loose over time.
Yeah.
And the tire came off. And she didn't have her headset on. So I was like, hello, is anyone there? I'm like, tires off. Hello, anyone there? And then finally, like, I'm coming through the whoops, and I'm screaming down, Maddie. I was like, and she finally put her headset on. She's like, I'm trying to find the tire. I'm like, the tire, the Marshall has the tire. I said, did you not see it get thrown off the racetrack? And so she ran over to the Marshall, grabbed the tire. They put it back on, and I ended up breaking out anyway. I broke a plastic tie rod from, I think it was that left side wheel came loose, and we were jumping that double onto the off camber, and I was landing on the left side. The wheel was loose, so it had like all that leverage to twist everything, and I think it stressed the plastic link. I've never had a plastic link break, but I'm guessing because I landed on it so many times that it fatigued it, and then I was coming onto the straightaway, and I was jumping that roller out onto the flat by the staging lane. I landed flat, and the wheel just folded, so ended up not finishing that race. But ever since, we haven't had an issue. So I think it was the tire that came loose. So
Seth, Chris says marry that girl. All right.
Well, it already says pit wife on the back of the shirt.
Oh, well, no.
Yeah, there's a funny story behind that. It at where was it? It was DNC. The second round of qualifying, when we walked over and everyone was like giving us hugs and high fives, the Europeans, for some reason, didn't realize it was my girlfriend, thought we were married. So they're like, Miss VanDalen, like, and she's like not responding to it. And so we decided when I got new sponsor shirts, she wanted pit, and then not gonna say it, but derogatory term. Yeah, pit bitch. Yeah, she wanted that after. And Boom RC, Mike Garrison had sold the company, so the new company didn't allow. I don't think they was she messaged Mike, and Mike said that they don't want that term on the back of the shirt. They wouldn't print it. So we put pit wife on the back, and it's just stuck ever since.
Yeah.
So
Patrick says Madison has saved my ass before. If you need a coming in clutch pit stop, she's the one.
Oh yeah, when we were in Omaha, she pitted for Patrick and his brother all the time. When I wasn't racing, she was out there pitting for him. So she helps everyone she can.
Pitting is hard too. I mean, it's a whole nother frustration, nervousness level down there.
Oh yeah, the biggest thing she's had to learn. She used to pit for me, or like when I would run practice, she'd be out there pitting for me when I was 13 and 14. We dated when I was 13 and 14, and she was out there pitting, so she knew how to use the fuel gun and how to call me in. And so, like, obviously calling me in is just yell, or now that we have the headset, it's just, hey, your pit lap, okay, and we'll come in. But the biggest thing for her that, like, my dad's been teaching her is pit strategies. And what I mean by that is if you're down in the pits and you hear like 4 or 5 cars get called in, and I'm around a pack of cars, and normally we do like a fuel mileage test in qualifying, run the car, time it from start up to, or fuel up to shut down, and then pull the fuel with a syringe and calculate it. She's learned now that I have a decent sized pit window, not the greatest. Still have a heavy throttle finger from when I was little, but I can normally go around like 9.5, 10 minutes, 10 minutes with truck, and like 9.5 with buggy. So she has a bigger pit window to choose from. So if she needs to stretch me a lap, she can. If we do have a tighter pit window, she'll short me a lap, and we'll just have to do a splash and go at the end. And hopefully I have a big enough gap to the guy behind me to do it. But that's the biggest thing she's learned. And I get it's a whole different element. It is. I pit for my, during the Omaha Winter Series, I pit for my dad and my brother. I'm the only one out there. Someone normally sets my brother down. I set my brother down, or my dad down, I should say. And then I fuel both of them during the race. So my brother normally doesn't pull the trigger as hard as my dad. So dad comes in first, Zach comes in second, and then move on to the next fuel stop. So I got to pit 6 times instead of 3. So yeah, that's even more nerve-wracking, trying to make sure no one runs out.
Madison VanDalen says, everyone thinks pitting is really easy. I can't express it enough. It's hard. You have to choose whether to pull them in early, on time, or if you can push it due to the positions. Yeah, and did I make a call at Southern Nats? I don't know if she's listening. And she's probably listening here. I think I made a call at Southern Nats. I don't know who I was battling with. Maybe it was Cav and then someone else. And they went wide around the bumps. I think Mayfield was lapping me at the time. And him and Cav went wide around the bumps at the start of the straightaway. And I was like, they're coming in. And she had told me to pit. And I went flying past pit lane. I was like, one more. I'm not pitting with those two in pit lane. So I went one more lap. And we came out of pit lane. I think we went a little bit faster than Mayfield through pit lane. We ended up beating him out. And we were right in front of him, or maybe right behind him. But we got around Cav was the biggest part, because that was a battle for position. And that, like, the call on my part, and then her fast pitting made sure we got out in front of those guys. So, Chris says, who pits faster, you fueling her or vice versa?
Me fueling her or vice versa? I'm gonna be careful.
Yeah, I guess since she's listening,
but, it's her.
Good answer.
But yeah.
Yeah.
No, I pitted my dad at Worlds. I brought a spare car, so I pitted him there, and he's much faster than I am, and she's actually faster than I am. I don't think I could hang anymore after the last couple of races we've gone to. I don't think I could hang. So.
Okay.
So just kind of go over a little bit on the Southern Nats, just kind of, how it went a little bit, what you thought of the track and everything. And, you mentioned some of the guys you were battling with already, but it was a pretty good race. And what did you think of that particular event?
Southern Nats. So a lot of the races I've been going to are first timers. So SIC, DNC, PNB, Mugen, and then now Southern Nats. This is all my first time ever coming to the event. So I basically started off on a blank page. Seating went really well. I seated third in both the buggy classes and was like 10th in truck. I chose too hard of a compound in the wrong tread pattern. The track was still a green compound, and I went blue, and I went triple D instead of reflex, and everyone else was running reflex, and I just went slow. So I think it was more compound than anything. I was just too hard, so it didn't have the traction. But the buggies went well. Qualifying was meh. E-buggy, for some reason, I don't know how. I drove it for 2 rounds and had good runs. I had a 5 and a 4 to put up for the main. It's qualified 6 in that. But Nitro buggy was less than stellar. Had mistakes. Qualified 9th. Truck had a good run going in round 2. Made a stupid decision going up to the crossover. The truck went into a hard understeer on power. And me being me, I went, it'll miss the pipe. I won't lift, because I was struggling to make that jump because I don't think my shocks were quite right for how big jumps are. So didn't lift, hit the pipe, crashed, ended up like 9th in that round. So qualified, ended up 10th in that round. I ended up overall in truck with a 20, a 10, and a 10 to put me 11th, which was terrible. That was a struggle. But we were both kind of mad about it after the race, both Maddie and I, after qualifying. And I was like, well, we did it once, we'll do it again. I said, we qualified 10th at PNB in buggy, we finished 2nd. We've done it before, we'll do it again. So truck was no different, qualified 11th. Didn't get the start I wanted to, had a little bit of a rough start, but put my head down in the middle and ran it back to a 4th. Got Brandon Rose and Ryan Lutz in the last 2 minutes. The pass on Lutz.
I think I have that on video. That on video.
You do? Maddie thought she did, but she shut her camera off in the bowl turn before.
I was videoing, and it's on the video we just put on YouTube last night and today, and so that pass is on there when you got by Lutz.
Oh,
that was kind of a cross your fingers and hope for the best kind of thing.
Totally.
Because in buggy, I don't know if it upset Cav or not. I don't think it did. It didn't really cost him anything. I jumped it because I was right behind him, and I should have known Cav was gonna lay up for it because he had been through qualifying in the whole mains, and I'd been watching him, and I knew he was laying up for it. But I spaced it, I pulled it, and I landed on his right rear tire, and it kind of got him squirrely going into the bumps. But he saved it, and I just backed off and then let him go. I didn't try and attack again, and I got him later in that race. So yeah, the pass over the top. I've always been kind of sendy on rollers to flats. I do it. There's a track here in the city. It's about an hour and a half from my house, and there was a roller onto the front or onto the back straight, and in stock 2-wheel drive, I was just sending it to the middle of the straightaway, and the car would take it, but it was like you had to land perfectly on power to make up time. So, but that pass was dialed. I was really surprised I made that pass.
Yeah, it's one of those where you're just like, all right, well, it worked, And if you're the guy that the pass went on to,
let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, it's going to be in the truck main and
in this main.
Yeah.
We'll just let.
So what
roll.
actually? I read up on Mayfield's, like what happened to Mayfield in truck. He said he broke the front pistons or something.
Yeah, like when they collided going up the step up, he hit the face, and all of a sudden the front of the truck had no damping.
Oh, really?
So it was like, I want to say it was the right front shock, maybe something like that. And so he was driving it like that, and then he hit the turn before the as you go up the crossover. He hit that turn, and he flipped upside down, and like he said, he revved it to get the marshal's attention, and it flamed out. So then they started back up. He got out there.
Oh my god!
Yeah, you'll have to go towards the end for the Truggy main.
I'm trying to find it here.
Oh, please, there we go.
What's this?
So this is the start of the buggy race. So go back a little bit. All right, start there. So
that looks like
this is probably the E. Yeah, this is the E buggy main. So go back a little bit further. Right there. Let's start right there. All right, so this is Dakota probably leading here.
He drove a really good race.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think this is towards the end. So we're about in the right spot. We're going to see something here. So here's you. And here's Lutz. Poor Lutz.
No, here we go.
This happens every now and then to another driver. It's never fun.
All right, there he gets hung up.
Oh.
And then you just kind of muscled it out through the ruts there.
Oop.
And then he hits this 180, kind of lets you get home here.
Yep.
So that was for fourth or fifth?
Fourth.
Yeah. Okay.
And then that truck right behind me was Brandon. He was fifth. He said I talked to him after the race. He said he made it to right about there, and then he gave up.
Yeah, there was too much space, and it would have took a legit mistake. Would have took a legit mistake. So there's Dakota finishing the race, but yeah, that was a sweet pass. And those stick with you for a while, right?
Yeah, the good finishes, the exciting finishes always stick with you. Mm-hmm. So the P&B and that race will stick with me for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes you can surprise people in those moments. If you're going to decide to get a little risky, you decide to because really, when you look at how that pass kind of worked in a sense, it really kind of was like fortunate that it worked out because you ended up on the outside somehow. And like the way you kind of got through the bumps right there, you were able to get back in front of them. And a lot of stuff has to kind of go your way to make one of those stick sometimes.
Yeah. I think if Lutz if he would have been another 6 inches farther inside, it wouldn't have stuck. But no. I think my truck was just enough in the way that he wasn't able to get. I don't know if his line was go like wide and kind of go slightly around him. So maybe that's why he went wide with me. But if I wouldn't have done that, I would have tried to go low, because that was what I was doing, was just trying to skate the inside around the bumps, and then obviously had to hit the last one because it was right in the middle, or it was kind of all the way to the pipe. So
yeah, drive on those plaques that were sitting there.
yeah, those were slick.
Yeah. So let's talk about. He's going to bring it up here again. And what's weird is you landed on the pipe too. So, like the fact that sometimes you'll land on the pipe and the thing will just like go airborne and it's done, but it's like pipe, like. And then he hit the rear of your truck in the wing, and sometimes you'll get caught in the wing. Like the fact that you didn't get tied up there, and Brandon Rose go around all of you guys was pretty amazing too.
Yeah, watching it back that second time, I think the only way that like I saved, or that like the truck saved itself from bouncing off the pipe, was I think I whipped to the left to like set up for that corner. But when I straightened the wheel back, or like went to like flatten the truck back out, I went too far. So it was actually landing on the front left already. So it like kind of just slipped off of it maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's also another thing I learned. If you're jumping to a flat, land on one tire first, and then try and set all the other ones down at different times. I learned that at Omaha, Nebraska. I think it's a technique that some like big truck racers use. If they know they're like jumping to kind of a flat, they'll get the truck to kind of be uneven in the air and then land all four tires at different points. So then the suspension technically has more dampening to soak up the hit, instead of it just blowing through all four. So
yeah, you don't hit the chassis as quickly.
Yeah,
you land on one corner or one side. Yeah, I realized that when I was testing years and years ago with Mark Pavitas, and he's just like, they were actually trying a bunch of shock pistons on a two-wheel buggy, and finally he was just like, the only thing that seems to matter is I notice if I land on one side, it's much better. So I just started landing on the side.
Yeah.
He's like, and then he's like, it didn't matter what pistons I had. It mattered more where I was actually landing. So, yeah, anyway, that's cool. This is Rich got this video edited up for us. Rich, works here at J Concepts. I brought him all this footage. He got it put together for us in a couple days. And, it's just kind of a fun thing to have. And it was nice. I was able to catch your pass. And then I caught when Dakota was going across the finish line in one of the qualifiers where he hit the pipe, he missed it, and ended up jumping off pit lane.
Oh yeah. I saw that in my peripheral when he came in, and like, did he end up like going out of pit lane, or did he jump back onto the straightaway?
What happened is he hit the inside pipe, it ricocheted, and he started heading right to the pit lane, to the pit entrance, and he just stuck with it. He just went through the pit entrance to the start finish line, and then hit the ramp and jumped onto the straightaway. It's kind of bizarre, like how it actually happened, but yeah, it was kind of funny. But yeah, it's one of those things you kind of think about somehow in the moment that you never really know how you think of it, but it just happens.
Yeah.
So talk to us about what's coming up.
Removed me. You can still hear me though, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know why it does that. It removes me when I share that screen tonight. For whatever reason, it's taking me off cam, and I'll try and get back on cam, but I think that's a blessing for everybody else. I have to see my ugly mug on here.
The races that are coming up, October, or like just events for me. I got these next 2 weekends off. I might use this weekend for some testing either at home or at the carpet track. The Southern Nats is one race I wish I would have had a universal setup, because that track was high speed and rough, and universals would have been extremely good. And I know I talked to Mayfield at Mugen Challenge, and he waxed us there. And he's like, I put universals in. He's like, I got tired of getting beat by or at Wicked, he got beat by, I think, Ogden, or maybe not Ogden, but I think Dakota
and Cav
and Cav. And a lot of those guys, the stuff that they have in common between their cars was universals. So he's like, he yard sailed his car at Mugen and ran universals. Southern Nats was one race that I wish would have had universals. But that's one thing I'm going to test this weekend, I think, is universals. Get a better base setup. I tried them a couple weeks ago. Didn't really get all that great of a base setup. So I wasn't really confident for them, like running them at Southern Nats. But test that this weekend. Following weekend, got Joe Bornhorst's wedding. So that's a little bit RC related.
Where are you you got to go to Ohio for that?
Yep, got to go to Ohio.
Okay.
And then I think the NCTS race is in October up here. So I got to find some time to test that. I can test it during the week. It's just I only get an hour and a half, 2 hours on the track. So by the time I get packed up from work home, or like get packed up at home and go. I work for my dad at home, so it's not really all that hard. I could just leave early, but then following that in November is AMS, and then really nothing planned in December, other than I'll probably end up going to the Hobbyplex in Omaha for the Techno Winter Series. So that'll be November and December. I'll be going there. So that's really all we have planned till the new year, because I don't know if Silver State's getting rescheduled, if they're trying to do that still or not.
Oh, something happened.
Or Force Series stuff we have around here is they got the Fall Brawl, which is in Myrtle Beach.
Oh yeah, I actually talked to my team manager Matt Walter, and talked to Joe and I think maybe Jared. And I was like, we don't have anyone going to Fall Brawl, do we? And he's like, no, I don't think so. And I was like, okay. I was like, that might be one to hit. Try and put up a result there.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be good.
But it might be a little bit difficult if no one's going, because with flying, I'm not old enough to rent a car, so kind of depended on someone to pick me up. But maybe I'll pull some strings, see if my dad can get a hold of his buddy Nick Angelides. He used to race. He owned a company with what was it? They made bodies. I can't remember the name of the company, but
Atomic.
Atomic. Yeah, we met Nick up. He came up here. He was like traveling for work, and came out to our house and ran. And my dad ran with him, and was like, my dad thought he was just some dude with money that like had brand new Kyosho cars, OS engines, and like all this good stuff. My dad ran with him, and he's like, okay, this dude can drive. He's like, we need to travel to some races with this guy. So that was before I started traveling. And I think that was when we were still running Jammin', or maybe right when we switched to Kyosho.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad traveled down to Florida for a couple races. And then I think there's a couple races in like Missouri that he hit with them. So
Sounds right.
Maybe talk to Nick and see if he can hook me up or something. I can't remember where he lives, but.
Well, the other thing is, if you fly into Myrtle Beach, it's really close. So those guys, even if Paul or one of our guys is there, they could pick you up at Myrtle Beach if you fly into that airport, because I mean it's only like 10 minutes probably from the track, I would say.
Oh, really? Is the hotel close to the track?
They stay on the beach there. I forget the name of it right now. Bay something, South Bay or something Bay. We were talking about it today. And that the time of the year you get like really good hotels and rates there, and you can stay. I mean, you can stay right on the beach.
Nice.
So yeah, if you want, give a shout out to your sponsors, everybody you want to thank, and then we can kind of end it there. And so go ahead.
I'd like to thank all my sponsors: Techno, J Concepts, Block, Full Throttle Raceway, King Kong Hobbies, JTP, JBT Machining, StuTech, and VP Fuels is the one I was forgetting. I think they've been, if I wouldn't have left J Concepts way back when, they'd probably be my longest, but for some reason we switched to Proline and got frustrated, and now we're back.
Well, good. And it's been a pleasure for sure watching race. Those battles you're having on the track, amazing. And look forward to seeing you in Minnesota, and then maybe later in the year if there's something that works out, we see you again. But thanks again. Good racing, and we'll see you at the next race.
Yeah, we'll see you then.
All right, guys. Thanks, Seth.
Yep. Night.
All right, can you still hear me, Jason?
I can hear you.
All right, that's weird. I think that's just I got online quick. Went into the StreamYard community, and I think it's a glitch where you shared a screen and it eliminated me. So
yeah, now it's just a white dot. So.
Yeah, it's going to be just audio for me, but we'll close it out anyway. That was awesome.
Yeah, great description of those events and how they kind of shake down. It shows you what a racer's memory is like too when you do these events, and you have almost a lot of people do almost have like a photographic memory of how these things take place.
Yeah, and I when I was at the Mugen Challenge, I was standing there watching the main events, and Maddie was pitting right in front of me. And I remember she got called over to another spot, and she was a little upset or something, and I was like, dang, that girl's a little feisty.
Yeah.
She's a tough one. You gotta like it.
Yep. She's gonna hold her space and make sure her
somebody's trying to get in.
No, I'm just trying to figure out how late it is.
7:15 is not bad.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Spencer's waiting for me at 7:30. We're gonna do our football podcast.
You got a schedule today.
Yeah, I have a schedule. Tight schedule. Head over to our Facebook page. It's called First is the Goal. That's the podcast name. First is the Goal.
That's not bad.
And we tied in racing to that. So,
good job.
I got to get my camera back on, though. I don't know what the deal is. The camera's on. Everything's on. But I noticed when I shared a screen, we did this. It happened to us on pre-show, too.
Yeah.
It knocked me off.
It's that you're able to show that video. That was awesome that you're able to show that, because, that's everything. That's what we're talking about. So it was like so perfect.
Yeah. It was awesome.
So next event for me, I'm going to be going to the RCMT World Championships for Monster Trucks, which is the October 16th through 18th.
Where's that at?
That is in Connecticut. That's back in Enfield, Connecticut.
Oh, nice. RC Madness.
Yep. So we'll be there again. This time it's their annual World final event, so I'll be there. And then the very next weekend after that is the Midwest Carpet Nationals. That's the one we were just talking about with Seth, going to be in Minnesota. And then 2 weeks after that is AMS, the other event Seth talked about. So that takes us into November. So we got some events happening.
Nice.
Things are rocking and rolling, and it's been fun to catch up with everybody again and get some legit racing in.
So last weekend I had a chance to go to LCRC to see the race against cancer.
Okay, yeah.
Went there for the mains on Sunday. Got to see our boy Justin E. Main Jubert.
Okay.
He's gonna kill me for that one. But yeah, I went there to watch the mains because loved Nitro.
Yeah, you're hooked after that Mugen show.
I've been hooked all along. Like I've always loved watching Nitro, and I'm gonna try to get more races at LCRC. I like going there. So I went there and what's that?
They'll have the Roar Nats.
Oh hell yeah, I'm definitely doing that. And I got to see Jason Schreffler, good friend of mine from a long time ago. Going back to Trinity days.
Too.
Yeah, he is. It was just unreal. I mean, it's definitely cool to watch him. He won the 40 plus class, and then he wins the pro nitro buggy class. And yeah, really cool. So I'm glad I went. Had a good time. A few people come up to me, said they loved the show. Got to I took photos with Schreffler's car. That was before the main. That's why he won.
You sure it was this show that they liked, right? It wasn't something else.
It was probably like J Concepts or something. Or another podcast. They might have confused me with another podcast.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta make sure.
People just say that, they probably don't even listen. Anyway. What I was gonna say, now you distracted me, lost me there.
I was on a podcast this week.
Yeah, which one's that? RC?
The Extra Lap.
Oh, okay. Yep.
With Aiden Burke.
Yeah, we had Aiden Burke on the show here.
Yeah, he
from his bed.
I know, it was awesome. So yeah, that podcast went well. Talked to him for about an hour, and they want to get me back on, talk about more about the old days, and then. They were talking about GI Joes and American sports, and you actually
wait, GI Joes?
It should be me and you on that podcast with them, because it would be the perfect opportunity to talk about all this stuff.
Yes, I like it.
Yeah, the first thing he starts talking about GI Joes, I'm like, but did you have the aircraft carrier?
Yeah, what'd they say?
He said he actually did have there. It wasn't Aiden. It was his buddy that's on the show with him, the co-host. He was the one. He actually said that he had the aircraft carrier.
Wow, that's awesome. Dang. We'll have to get on that show.
Yeah, he said he actually gave it away to his neighbor too. But
what?
When he was done with it and over it, he gave away the aircraft carrier.
Oh my God. Man. Oof. All right.
Have we talked about the show on Netflix called The Toys That Made Us? Have you watched that yet?
No, I have not.
You need to watch that.
Okay. I have Netflix. I'll go do that. How long is it?
It'll talk about all these toys. There's the ones about GI Joes, and dude, you're gonna go right back down that rabbit hole that you were on.
Oh no.
A few months ago, where you were watching all those YouTube videos about GI Joe.
Yeah, I even went on Patreon and became a patron of a lot of those guys that had videos up on YouTube. So some of those ending credits, I'm always in there. But yeah, I was down that rabbit hole pretty big.
Yeah, I remember you sending video links. Look at this. Look at this.
Oh, you have a Patreon? All right. Boom. That was really awesome. I'll go watch that though. That sounds pretty good. I think.
Yeah, I mean, they go over a lot of different of the toys, and just ones I think about off the top of my head. I mean, obviously they did Barbies. They did My Little Pony.
Well, you had all the Barbies.
They did G.I. Joes. They did Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, did we lose you? I thought I lost you there for a second, but
check it out. There's also the movies that
Chris says Kean is screaming at his computer the same thing, giving away an aircraft. So Kean White gave away an aircraft carrier?
I think Gotti completely disappeared now.
Oh no.
Gotti's back.
Yeah, I was just trying something with the camera, trying to get myself back on camera, but again, like I said, that's a blessing to a lot of you guys. I don't see my ugly mud on. So
it is.
Yeah. So Kean is screaming at his computer. So he gave away an aircraft carrier, and Kean is all about the G.I. Joes now. Yes, I've spoken to Kean about action figures and stuff like that. He's really into them big time. And
isn't it part of your fault
what?
That he's got back into G.I. Joes or something?
I don't think it's part of my fault.
You sent him down that rabbit hole too. He was already going.
I think he was already down that. He's a big time collector.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't. I'd like to claim responsibility for that, but I can't.
Okay.
But yeah, we were talking back and forth on Messenger, and he was telling me all about the action figures and how he's into that. So it was really awesome. I was like, man, I was so into G.I. Joes, and always wanted to get into Transformers, but they were so expensive. Like I just couldn't do it. But
it's another cool thing to watch. You can watch this on YouTube. Is the guys that do the voices for Transformers and stuff, and kind of how they came up with the voice for Optimus Prime. And a local collectible store had one in their front window. Thing was 3 feet long. Yeah.
Yeah. How much was that? What was the cost of that aircraft carrier when it came out?
Didn't we talk about this one day? It was like, I want to say it was like $150 or more dollars, something like that.
Imagine that back then. Jeez.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Right? But that was a huge deal.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you for 220. Jason might be around next week, right?
Yeah, I'm around.
All right.
I talked to, I'm going to pull up his name here. I already talked to somebody for Chuck Kleinhagen.
Okay.
Kleinhagen. He's the owner of Fastlane Raceway.
All right.
In Blue Springs, Missouri. And he said he would be Left Tire Salute. He said he'd be on the show next week. He's also the Roar president right now.
Oh.
So he owns a track in Blue Springs, Missouri, multiple tracks there. Smart dude, and also the Roar president. So he said he'd be on the show.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, appreciate everybody joining us for 219. We'll see you for 220. Later.
All right, we're out.